Good afternoon and welcome, friends and family of Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. I am Reverend Cindy Grimes, and I am so glad that you joined us this afternoon. We have a great program in store for you. I'm so excited. We introduced the program that we're going to be doing for the rest of the year, the Revolutionary Love Project. We introduced it last week, so we're going to get into the meat of the program starting today. And I am joined by four other fabulous, amazing women. I can't wait for you to, well, you know some of them already, but we're going to introduce one that I think you don't know yet. So I'm looking forward to that. And I just want to welcome you. So I will start with the welcome. This is who we are at the Center for Spiritual Living in Ocala, Florida. This is what we value. This is what is important to us. And this is what you need to know about us, that we value spiritual growth and practice above just about everything else. It's the whole reason that we come together is to learn and to grow in community, in spiritual community. And we do that through love. We do that through appreciation. We do it in the context of community. We also value freedom and freedom of expression and creativity. And we value health and wholeness. And we value generosity and financial well-being. We're a pretty awesome group of people, I just have to say. When I look at that list of values, I get happy. So let's see what else I want to tell you. Our mission at Center for Spiritual Living Ocala is to provide spiritual tools and practices for personal and global transformation. We're here to change ourselves, to live the best lives that we can live. And our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. So we believe that the spiritual magnificence is the truth and the core of who we are as human beings when we come into this world. And, life happens. Things happen that change our perspectives, and we start to see ourselves as less than and not really knowing who we are. And so, we're here to reawaken that and help everybody get back in touch with the truth of who they are. And our vision is a world that works for everyone. That means a world that works for me, a world that works for you, and a world that works for your loved ones and people that you don't know and will never know. And so, let's see, who am I going to bring in first? I think I will bring in Donna Davis. Hello,
Hi,
Donna.
everybody.
Hey,
Hi.
how you doing, girl?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm on my lunch again.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes. Thank you so much. For those who don't know, Donna Davis is a practitioner at our center, and she is right now in New York City on the COVID front line yet once again,
hmm
and taking time off on her lunch break to be with us.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna stop talking and let you pray us in.
All right.
All right.
Let's do it. I'm excited about today, you guys. But first, let's get into that space of wonder, right? Getting into that space of divine knowingness in connectivity with the one. So that way, when we start to speak together in this conversation today, I believe that that's how spirit gets to speak through us. So first we have to line ourselves up to that vibration. So here we go. Take this moment now to just take a deep breath in. Really oxygenating our body, becoming aware of the present moment, the space we take up, the physical form that we have. And when you're settled into that space, I recognize the allness of the one. One first cause, the very beginning itself, that which lives in and through around all things. And as I recognize it, I am aware that the very air that I breathe is the one. in through my nose and out through my mouth. And I too am connected within that one. I am sitting in that very space that is God expressed as me. And I know if that's true for me, it's true for every other person, that we are all sitting in that holy space, that God exists. And we are also a part of the one. And as we breathe that in and connect to everything that is around us, then I also know that today's conversation, as we talk today with the other people on this call, and as we reach out, our voices reach out through this miraculous thing we call the internet, that is also God expressing and reaching each other, God touching God. And people, individualized people, will cease to be separate. And we will start to recognize each other as part of the wholeness that is the one. No one of us is separate from the divine loving energy that is God. And because I know that it's true, I am lining myself up for that. For today's conversation to feed and nourish my soul, and for us to make a world that works for everybody. However you show up, however I show up, it works for me, it works for you, and all of us will recognize each other expressing. When we look at the trees, we will recognize the beautiful and the glory that is God. We recognize the beauty and the glory that is in animals, that is in the planet, that is in the cosmos itself. We recognize all of it. I am accepting that. I'm accepting that which is myself showing up and recognizing the one. And I breathe into that moment of love and connectivity, knowing that all of us are perfect in design. And I release it into the law, knowing that the law is always working for the highest and best of everyone on this call, all of those who exist right now, all who existed in the past, all who shall ever exist, all of us. It is working for the divine unfoldment of each and every person. And I say, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. And so it is.
And so it is, my sister.
I'm excited about today.
How could you not be after a lead-in like that?
Oh man, it's just so cool. It's so cool to be able to be online and to do this online before. I feel like this is the bigger thing that we're now a part of, and that we're reaching people that we never would have reached before.
Yes.
I just love technology.
From all over. From all
Oh
over
my
the place.
goodness.
I mean, from Canada and Switzerland, and I was on a call the other day with folks from Africa. It's amazing.
It's wonderful.
Yes, it is. All right, let me start bringing folks into the stream here. We have welcome Norma.
Hello, how are you guys?
Hey.
Norma is our other practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living. And so let me bring in Corinne Dean.
Hello.
Corinne. Hello, Corinne. How you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you all doing? Donna, if I didn't get anything else today, that prayer will carry me through. Not just today, but the week. Amazing.
Thank you.
Fabulous. And I'm going to bring in Alore, who folks may not know, but you may see a resemblance in the beautiful smiles there of Alore Davis and Donna Davis.
Mm-hmm.
So Alore, you're muted. Did I do that to you? There you go.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm just really glad and honored to be here talking with you ladies.
I am so excited to have you. You're like representing our 20-somethings here.
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it. And
Are
for
you on your
people,
way to swim? Is that what?
I'm on my way from a swim. We did a mermaid meetup, and there was quite a few mermaids there. And you know, we're in the car driving home from that, so I'm soaking wet. But I would have it no other way. So
Yeah. That's
so people
awesome.
have to understand what
got
that means, right? That you're talking about mermaids and stuff. There's people that might be
mermaid.
watching that don't know what that means.
It ties in so beautifully in today's conversation when we talk about
Yeah,
wonder.
Oh, yeah.
the
It
childlike
really
wonder,
does.
because we work with children every time that we enter the tale. Every single time there's children,
Yes.
and we witness wonder. Like every 5 seconds we turn, there's another kid going, "There's a mermaid."
It's
So for folks
wonderful.
who don't know, Allure is like a professional mermaid. She puts on a tail and she goes into the water and different Florida springs and amazes children, and just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It's
Yeah,
so fun.
it is so fun. It is so fun. How many little
Oh
girls
yeah,
think to
so
themselves, I'd love to be a mermaid? And this is a young woman who's actually done it. Like, what?
yeah. It's really the best thing when just the other week there was a beautiful mixed girl, and she came up and she was like, "That mermaid's my favorite," and I was like,
Oh,
"Yeah, yeah." And I was so happy. It made my week. It made my month. It made my life.
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Representation is key.
Yes. Yes. So thank you, ladies, this beautiful panel of people to talk about our topic for today. So, this is the kind of kickoff to the Revolutionary Love Project by Valarie Kaur. And I love this work. It's for those of you who haven't connected with it or know what it is, look up Valarie Kaur, and See No Stranger is the name of the book. The Revolutionary Love Project takes what's in her book, those different chapters, and breaks down this idea of revolutionary love and how we can love others. Thank you, Corinne, for showing that. Yes.
Kaur, K-A-U-R.
Kaur, yes. And so it's about loving others, loving our opponents, and loving ourselves. I mean, it is a really full expression of love with no spiritual bypassing. I mean, it is deep, it's profound, and it starts with wonder and it ends with joy. Right. And so again, what a cool thing to have Allure in her mermaid outfit here, representing wonder and joy as we kick off this program. So, does anyone want to add anything as far as Valarie and the program? Oh no, we lost
We
Allure.
lost Allure.
Yeah, well, she's out in the woods,
She's on
so she'll
break.
probably pop back on.
Yeah. So, bummer. Anyway, it happens. Does anyone want to add anything to that as far as Valarie Kaur and the program? Anything you want to say?
Well, I just thought it was just kind of profound the way she broke it down to the ourselves, others, and opponents as opposed to enemies. Because, it kind of puts things in perspective when we're talking about friends and family that may actually be opponents in whatever situation that we're dealing with. So that was kind of profound.
Yeah, I love that distinction. I think that's brilliant. So thank you. Yes, and Allure is back. All right, we just know you hope that you don't drop off again, but we understand things happen. So, Valarie, her book starts with this idea of loving others, right? And it's a kind of a switch for me because the way I teach is I teach everything from the inside out, right? So we learn and we come from our perspective first, like how is this affecting me and my relationship with my higher self and whatever. And Valarie is having us start from others, right, from our relationship with other people first. So it's a little bit of a switch up for me, but it's expanding me, I feel like. Like how my learning style and my teaching as well. So I'm excited about that. So anyway, we start with wonder about others. And so today we're just going to talk about, the first aspect of wonder, which is like what it is and where it came from. And, if you all, I feel like we should start with Alore, really, with this question. And do you remember? Oh, is that your GPS? That's Alore's GPS. Maybe we won't start with her. But the question is, do you remember having a sense of wonder and awe when you were a child? And what was it that brought that up for you? So anybody can go first.
I'm sorry. You said the question was, do I remember having a sense of wonder as a child?
Yeah. And what evoked that for you? Yeah, so tell us about it.
The second half of that question?
What was it? What was it? What evoked that?
I'm so sorry.
What was your sense of wonder?
What caused your sense of wonder?
I think the signal's
I can answer.
Oh no. See, that's what happens when you have a mermaid in the springs.
We might need to wait.
Lots of trees.
That's
lots
too
lots of trees. Yeah.
Everybody else can go and then have her go
coming through the forest.
All right. Well, maybe somebody else wants to start. By the time she gets through, she might be in a spot where there's a little more stability.
Yeah. I think they're driving to try to get to more stability, actually.
Yeah.
But for me, I know that what my first sense of wonder was drums. Drums did it for me. I went to my mom's church for the first time where she was doing revivalism. And I remember seeing everybody in their uniforms, white outfits with the turbans and the drums, the sound of the djembe just gets into you. And I remember this feeling of vibrating, and just I watched this one little old lady. I promise you, well, she might not have been that old, but to me, I was fairly young. I was maybe like 5 or 6. And this little lady had a glass of water on her head and was dancing in the spirit to the drums. And I mean, dancing, gyrating. And this glass of water did not move from this woman's head. I thought it's going to fall for sure. And it didn't fall. And they said the reason it didn't was because she was in the spirit. But I remember feeling like, I want to be that lady, that connected where that glass of water is not going to fall. And it was something to watch. And she was older. She had to be like, in her 70s, 80s, fairly older lady. And it was incredible to watch. And I remember feeling that sense of, wow, she must really be in it. And that was my first experience that I can remember that I was like, whoa, that's something.
Wow. Awesome. Anybody else want to go for that one?
Well, here comes Alore. For me, I would have to say, not necessarily an in-person experience, but I think movies and television. At the time, we didn't have internet back in the day, but movies and things I would see on TV showed me that there was this incredible world out there that it was out there somewhere for me to one day see. And I think I do remember just, of course, being in the movies too, the big screen and all of that, but to see the amazing beauty that was out there. And then, of course, as I got older, to see it for the first time. We talk about childlike wonder, but I am telling you, when I was 19 or 20, I had just gotten married, and Tim and I went to Colorado, and we drove out there. And as we were driving, to see those Rocky Mountains suddenly start appearing, I mean, I still remember what that feels like. So for me, those were just amazing moments of wonder. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For me, I think I'd have to say it's always been the different races. I've always found other people fascinating, in the sense of how they differ from me, I think. And sometimes I can't, I gotta say I was envious quite a bit as a child of others and what I thought they had or what I thought they were like. So I think that was what it was for me.
Nice.
Wow.
Do you have enough signal, Valarie?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually spoke about this wonder as a child that I had in one of the videos that I do, and I go upside down and I look at the surface of the water and how the light goes through the surface of the water, and that has always been like it's always connected me to that wonderment. And I can't tell you the first time that I've done that, but it just felt like I was entering into this whole different world, but it was actually just a really intimate relationship with our world through water. So that's really where my wonder came from as a child, was swimming and looking at the surface of the water and how light would bounce on it. It just made me feel like a mermaid.
So cool.
I don't even think the first time I heard you say talked about that, Alore, I was like, only a mermaid could do that. Flip upside down and swim upside down, staring up at the. So.
Well, the whole thing about my mermaiding is the concept of a mind mermaid, which is everybody has their own inner mermaid that swims into the depths of their subconscious. So it's something that everybody can connect to. So I've had several people come to me and they're like, I could never do what you do. I could never be a mermaid. And then bam, they're in a tail. It's like, if you want to do this, it's within you. And it doesn't have to be your dream, but if it is your dream, do it. And you'll have me in your corner, at least. You got one mer sister right here, forever and always.
I just love that.
It was, yeah. I mean, she was 6 when she first told me she was a mermaid. And what's interesting is that, talk about wonderment when you're a child. When she was 6, she was just playing, and out of the blue came and said, I was a mermaid in a former life. And I said, oh, that's lovely. Because as a parent, you kind of do that. That's lovely. And she says, yeah, I was swimming around in a dark space. It was very warm. I was by myself, and then it got too small and I had to leave. And I thought, did this child just describe the womb? And I was like, wait, no. And then I walked away. And so when she came up with I'm going to be a professional mermaid, I thought, well, there's a surprise. But to have a child, and that's the thing, it's like kids say stuff to you and they're in their wonderment. And you can either support that wonderment or tell them the reality, quote unquote. But it's really not reality, is it? Yeah. They're the ones that are really connected to the truth.
Right. True.
Whenever I work with kids, there's always 2 different types of kids. There are kids that believe in the mermaid, and so you want to keep the magic real for them and keep that wonder going. And then there are other kids that have encountered that kind of resistance where you are like, this is the reality of the situation, this could never happen. So they have this other belief, you're not a real mermaid, you're acting or you're lying. And it's a little bit of like they're a little abrasive, but it always shifts when I pull them aside and I'm like, hey, listen, no, I can't breathe underwater. But you know what the great thing is that I'm doing this? It means you can do it too. And their entire everything shifts. They're like, I could get a tail of my own. I could do this. I could be a mermaid. And I was like, yes, you can. Because it's like mermaids are real, but not in the sense that we were, taught about them. It's like, it's really shifted for me. Yeah. And it's really the kids that are the best part about the whole thing. Is the kids.
Mm-hmm. Like Corinne, did you ever think, oh, I'm going to climb that mountain,
Oh, gosh, yeah.
See? Yeah. The people do it all the time.
They do. And what's fascinating, Donna and Alore, listening to both of you talking about, Donna, the wonderment of the children, Alore, the same thing. And that's one thing I remember too, is yes, my own wonderment, but then seeing it through my children's eyes as well. Mm-hmm. And that brought up a memory. We did also take them to the mountains and climb the mountains with them when they were very young, so they could have that experience. But one of the biggest meaningful moment for me was when we traveled with them to another country. And our oldest was probably, I'm not sure, maybe about 10 or 11 years old. And we were walking down the street and he's looking around with an amazing look of wonderment on his face. And I said, TJ, what's going on? He goes, Mom, these people are just like us. They look just like we do. I said, well, what did you think? And we were just, and I go, did you think they wouldn't be human? He goes, they just were so far away. I thought they were so different, but they're just like us. I go, yes, they are. So that was an amazing moment for me. I thought, wow. And I wonder how many people subconsciously have that when they've never met another. And so they think they're going to be so different, and they look just like us.
That's the wonderful thing about travel, and how it expands your horizons and just getting to know other people.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, I grew up in the city first, New York City. And so there was no outside stuff, for a lot of people, wonder starts outdoor, but like you, Corinne, it was TV and movies. And,
Right.
for me, I can remember Superman, like the wonder of, oh my gosh, this being that can fly and protect people and be exactly where he needs to be when he needs to be there. And I wanted to be Lois Lane,
Yeah.
But then as an adult, it's like, nature, being outdoors and being in the mountains and things like that. And I always had the wonder of other people. And, it's funny, my heritage is Puerto Rican, and to talk to my parents, my dad especially, is very, very proud Puerto Rican. You would think that little island in the Caribbean was the center of the universe. Because we had the best food, we had the best customs, we had the best everything, And then I went to college and I was in International House, and I was exposed to all these other kinds of people from all these different countries. And I just was in awe, and just wanting to learn about everybody and everything. I never had that, that stranger thing, even though I grew up with that, like we're the best kind of thing. I still just, I loved meeting other people. I've always had that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love this mother and daughter team here, because I wanted also to say, because you have apparently done a wonderful job, or you did as raising your daughter, Donna, in not having her lose that sense of wonder.
I was very lucky.
She could say, as a kid, I want to be a mermaid, and here she is, 20-something years old. She's actually a mermaid. Like, wow, kudos to you, because that just doesn't happen for most of us.
Very true.
What's awesome is that we had amazing people around us, the center being a huge component of that, because the way that the people at the center was like, everything's open at the top. Anything's possible. And that was the thing that really solidified that for us. But I remember the first time we went to San Francisco, and Norma being, born and raised in Ocala, she was like, yeah, I'm not really from anywhere, And then we got to San Francisco and people were like, you're from Ocala? And you should see the looks on their faces. There's horses there. And she was like, you're excited about Ocala?
That's a great point. Yeah.
It was like this huge surprise, right, babe? Like, she was like, I can't believe people are actually excited about Ocala. But there's that wonder, that wonder, right? The eyes get big, they get really excited. Tell me all about it. Why are you here? Don't you just love it? And she was like, we're talking about the same Ocala, right?
We're excited about the horses and afraid of the alligators, because they're everywhere.
Oh, yes.
They're everywhere.
They think they're everywhere. They think they're just walking down the street. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the hurricanes and alligators.
Yeah. So
but that lends to the wonder, right? Because there's also that little fear that says, I don't know, but the only thing you have in your mind to draw on is TV or the news. And the news is the exception, right? So they see one alligator somewhere in Florida one day, and suddenly all alligators are hanging out at the bars, chilling with everybody.
That's funny. We have some other people in the chat talking about their moments of wonder, like the moment your baby is born, and Susan Allen seeing the Smoky Mountains for the first time. Horses. Yes, Lita says sunrise and sunset. So nature, I mean, that's just such a huge part, right, of all. And
listen, you should have seen this Jamaican girl the first time I saw snow. I sat and just cried. It was the most magical, because you know there's magic on TV, but to see it like that in nature, I sat and the snow was coming down really, really slow motion type, big, huge chunks of it. And I was just like, that's rain. And just the bigness that was God just really opened up for me. And I was just overwhelmed. Even now I feel like crying. I was overwhelmed by just looking at that, to think that's rain in slow motion. Frozen rain.
It's a beautiful way to look at it. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is.
It is what it is. You're right. It's just so poetic. So then what happens? What happens to us as we grow up that we lose that sense of awe and wonder?
Fear.
What do you think? Fear of what?
I just think fear creeps in, and then we're afraid of what's different. We're afraid of things new. You know, I shouldn't say we. I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, but you know, maybe not necessarily. Well, okay, with travel, let's look at travel. I love to travel, and when I had my children, I was terrified to get on an airplane because what if something happened to me? You know, and now I have my children, and so keeping people safe, keeping my children safe, and so I admit, fear, and then trying new things, you know, fear of doing it wrong. So that's what keeps coming to me. It's like fear. And what a gift to start to release that fear. And I'm hoping we can do that with this series. So, I mean, I don't know anybody else. As soon as you asked that question, I thought fear was the culprit that would really erase the sense of wonder, you know, even about other people, because I love meeting people, but there are times maybe, you know, there could be fear of, I don't want to sound stupid. You know, I love meeting people from other countries. And then I think, but I don't really know enough about that country. What do I say? Yes, I would admit I still have that.
Yeah,
I do too. It is. You're absolutely right, Corinne, because for me, it is fear, but I think it's a conditioned fear.
Yes.
Because of all that we see in society, everything we see on the news. I mean, you know, if I was to talk to people back home in Jamaica or to friends, you know, we have a friend that talks to friends in Denmark. Oh my God, they think that America's falling apart and nobody is safe and everything. But the fact is, we still have people who connect. We still have people who sit around the table and eat dinner together, and neighbors who wave at each other, and people walk their dog. You know, there's still that going on in the midst of what they see as a burning country.
Right.
And that's the thing.
Yeah, that's all they're showing.
But going back to the alligators, when you see one or two on TV, one or two stories that says that this must be the thing. And so the idea of going to Florida scares the crap out of people because they're afraid that they're going to get eaten by an alligator. I'm like, then don't go where they are. But and there's some who face that fear head on, and they're like, oh yeah, bring on the alligators. I plan on wrangling them. You know, that's my dharma. I want to go wrangle alligators. So everybody looks at that fear in a different way. Some look at it as excitement, and some look at it as debilitating, that says that I can never come out of my box. I can never leave my little safety.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. We're conditioned. I'm sorry, Norma, go ahead.
Okay. For me, it was conditioning, but not, I say it was like family and friends, because that was my world. That's who I knew. And they all looked like me, you know, and they would, you know, have negative things to say about the other cultures and what have you. And then enters TV. And I remember when about 10 years old, the popular movie for that era was Roots.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
it formed a lot of opinions about particularly white people, not just other Jews, but particularly white people, that just formed things that kind of crushed that wonder that you had. And as a matter of fact, I know for a fact that I grew up as a young teen hating Sandy Duncan.
oh,
I wouldn't even eat wheat thins because she was the advertiser for because of Roots.
Because of
wow. Isn't that amazing? Movies and television can create wonder and destroy it, maybe all in the same day.
Exactly.
I mean, what is up with that? Why do we give so much power to
yeah,
it?
Because
yeah,
it goes into your imagination.
Yeah.
And then when it goes into that imagination, you take that and you put it up against all the other fear that you're told through the news and through family, for example, who have generational pain. And you put it all together in one big blender, and then all of that wonderful adrenaline in your body, and then your anxiety kicks in, and your anxiety says, yep, you're right. It's scary. Let's never go.
yeah. Well, you know what we teach our kids from the beginning, you know, don't talk to strangers.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying that it's absolutely part of our conditioning to see others as strangers.
Mhm.
That's the first thing we tell our kids is you don't want to be around strangers. So who are the strangers? Are they the people that don't look like you, or are they
Right,
people
'cause
from other
strangers
countries,
are
or they
dangerous.
speak different languages, or what? Right? Let me see. We've got some things other
Yeah,
people are saying
stranger
here.
danger.
What keeps the small limitations that society puts on people, other people's opinions and criticism, what you were saying, Norma? Erin said, wouldn't it be phenomenal if we could cultivate wonder in meeting people who are vastly different than us, rather than feeling fearful?
Mhm.
I love that
do
she
it.
said that. And then on social
Let's do
pressure
it.
and the need to fit in, that's another thing. So yes, you're saying, Corinne, yes, do it, because that actually is
huge.
the practice. That's the practice that Valarie suggests for
Yes.
wonder. And I'm gonna suggest that we do it as in community, right? Every one of us, you know, commit on this call, you know, on this broadcast right now to doing this. And then we'll talk about it throughout the month and how it, you know, how it shows up for us. But the practice is to just look on people as you pass them, strangers, people everywhere throughout any walk of life that you come across, and see them as brother, sister, mother, father, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, child, grandchild, whatever, right? And see them as part of you. You are a part of me that I do not yet know. And apply that to everybody, and then just be aware of what comes up for you. And keep a journal, you know, as we go through this, like what happened throughout the day today. I applied that, you know, you're my brother to somebody who looks very different than me, and it didn't feel so good. Or, you know, maybe it felt great. You know, I don't know. We'll just see what happens for everybody. I've been playing with this already, and it's very revealing. So I'm just invite folks to do that.
Okay.
And so Donna, I mean, Donna, you're like the pro at this already. As Norma was saying before we got on the broadcast about how this is your practice. So you want to elaborate?
Yeah. Well, you know, the reason why I do it is because I had trauma in my life at my early age, and it stopped me dead in my tracks, and I couldn't go anywhere or do anything without this debilitating fear of everybody. And I'm a very friendly person. I like to talk to people. I like smiling at people. And so it was like, I have to stop being me. And I stopped for a little bit. And then I started to realize that, you know what? All of us at some point, something, and the more, of course, you travel and the more that you go into classes, the more you start to learn these things that, you know, hurt people, hurt others, right? And that's that feeling there, like, oh, this is somebody who has been hurt. And me being the loving person that I am, I want to alleviate the pain of the hurt. And so I started using that with my patients as a nurse when I first started nursing, because I had to try to figure out how am I going to connect to this person and what they're going through. So I started looking at them as just having a story. So whenever I met them, I'd say, okay, what is your story? And some of them would yell their story at you. And some of them you'd have to pull the story out of them. But that's what it was the story. And then when I got into CSL and started saying, oh, we're all God expressing divine energy. We just happen to have a human story. Then I started picking it apart and asking myself, what is their story? And then I became curious about them. Even those that were so different and gave me a little bit of anxiety, I became curious. And then the more I approached them, I would say I would turn up my 50-watt bulb and make it 120, because predators don't like light. They don't, and they run away. And that was the tool I used to be able to be my friendly, outgoing self. Sometimes a bit too much, but I'd rather be too much than to try to pull myself in, because pulling in didn't work. It just made you more open to that kind of behavior. And that's why I started doing it, was to help combat my own anxiety. And now I just do it all the time. And now it becomes fun. Like I was just telling y'all, I sit in my little hotel room looking out at the lights here in New York, and I think, wow, every single one of those lights, there's probably a person that turned on that light, or it's in there doing something. The cleaning guy is in there, or the security dude is walking around. And I'm imagining these people in every single one of these buildings in New York as I'm just looking out. Thousands and thousands of beings doing stuff. And then I'm thinking, somebody in one of those buildings are looking out at my building going, what is this person's doing? And it's fun to think that we're communicating that way.
Yeah,
So
it is.
It's fun to do, especially when you're by yourself in a little room. At work, it makes you feel connected.
I'll have to try that next time I'm in a city. I know for me, one thing is I've really been accepting my journey, just my life, how my journey is, and how it's not. Are you guys hearing an echo?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't know what. Should I stop talking for a second? That's distracting.
Oh, it sounds awful.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Oh.
All right. Let me.
That helps.
Oh, yes, let's all mute and see if that helps.
Wow, Donna too. Oh my goodness. So coming back one at a time, maybe. Go ahead, Alore, speak.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Go ahead, Corinne. Go ahead. You're back on.
Okay. All right. I was just saying, next point, really honoring my own journey and realizing how imperfect it's perfect for me, but it may not be perfect in the rest of the eyes of society, with how things, you're expected to live a story that someone else has written for you, that type of thinking. So I've learned that my journey is beautiful and totally imperfect for others, but perfect for me. And by accepting that, now I look at others and I think, oh my gosh, they're on their own journey. And their journey looks imperfect to me, but is perfect for them. And for whatever lessons they are meant to learn in this lifetime, they are on their journey. And Donna, to go back to your beautiful prayer that you started us off with today, you talked about we are all expressions of God. And that's another thing I do. When I look at people, I think, I'm an expression of God, and so are you. You are too. And, and that helps. And that really helps take away fear. And now I want to kind of qualify that a little bit. We do need to use wisdom when approaching people, because sometimes someone's journey may not be good with your journey, and you don't want to cross paths. So there's nothing wrong with using your discernment. But I am able to look at other people now more openly and definitely with more love, by thinking they're on their journey and they're an expression of God. So that's how I like to do it. But I'm going to try looking at them as my auntie or brother or sister or mother, father, son, daughter. That's another one that works too.
And that's just assuming that you have family members that you're connected to like that. No?
That's you're the echo, Donna.
Oh, sorry. It's still echoing? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I was muted. Oh, Donna, I so want to hear your we muted everybody else to see if it would help, and it didn't. Ah, what a bummer. Let's see. Well, I think I'm looking at the time. It's time for us to start winding up this conversation, closing out. Is there anything else anybody wants to say around this idea about wonder? And we're going to pick it up next week. You know, again, the challenge is for everybody to look on the people around you as parts of your family, as people you just don't yet know, and see what comes up for you. And we'll talk about it next week.
Well, I
So,
know for me,
yeah, Norma.
yeah, I know for me, in order to, because I did start this before the Valarie Kaur, because I was taking a class, and for me, I had to release judgment when I'm meeting new people, because if you enter any kind of relationship, conversation, what have you, with preconceived ideas and or slash judgments, you already lost a brother, sister, mother relationship thing before you even gave it a chance. So I think first step is that, and then, you know, make that relationship in your head switch over.
Beautiful. Thank you.
When it goes back to what my mom was saying, Donna, I get my judgment from Mama too. I'm just a perfect mix of both of them, and so I'm growing, and they're wonderful examples. But kind of like the lights, I would, you know, when you're in the car and you're jamming to your music and you're either crying or you're laughing or you're singing or whatever, you have your own little world happening. I've heard somebody tell me I'm afraid to cry in the car because I'm afraid somebody's going to see me. And I'm like, I've never thought about that because the only place I can cry is in the car. And so now when I drive, I'm like, I wonder what that person is going through. I wonder what that person's going through. I wonder why this person is laughing. I wonder why this person is crying. And I'm like, each one of these cars is their own little world, you know? And it kind of goes back to that journey that Corinne was talking about. I hold space for people a lot. So I'm like, wherever you are on your journey, I will hold space for you. You know, it doesn't mean that I necessarily need to step into that journey and now have a role in your journey, but I will hold space for you. And just that act of holding space, there's someone very close to my heart who has taught me a lot about that. And it's really, I think that might be a really, what is it? The ultimate expression of love is holding space for someone in their journey.
So beautiful and so wise from our 20-something girl. Her mama taught her well. Her mamas, mama one and mama two.
Mamas.
Let me see. I'm going to take myself out here and see if Donna can come back.
Can you hear me now? No. That's okay.
Oh, that's a bummer. All right, let me see. Donna was saying, I'm trying to figure out this comment here. Thank you, Alore. Let's see what else we got here. Donna, type in your comment maybe into the main chat so people can at least hear your closing. So so that's it for this week. Stay in the wonder, right? For everyone to stay in the wonder. And I'm going to invite folks to join us in Zoom after this at 4:00. We're going to have a conversation for anybody that wants to talk about this a little bit more and how we continue to cultivate this wonder for other people and for ourselves and for life and keeping that idea of wonder and joy in the forefront. You know, this work, this spiritual work, gosh, it can be joy. It doesn't have to be drudgery and pain, right? You know, doesn't mean that the pain isn't going to happen. It happens, but we learn how to deal with it. And so we want it to be a joyous thing. Let's see.
What
I'm
Donna,
looking for, go ahead, Norma.
what Donna was trying to say, she can't type into the chat, nor can I, but she's saying that even if we have family members that don't really bring up positive, feelings or thoughts, think of the person that we're meeting to as a wonderful mentor, like our good Cindy Grimes. And
Thank you. I love you, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm going to, well, before I let you go, I'll just put this banner going across the bottom. And maybe you all can say something if you want to about this, about supporting the Center for Spiritual Living Ocala. That we are a business, so to speak, right? We are a business, and we have bills to pay, and electricity, and all of this, and we love to get this out to as many people as possible. These messages, so allowing us to advertise and to pay staff and things like that. So we truly appreciate everybody who donates to the Center for Spiritual Living, and you can do it via PayPal at cslocala.org/donate, or you can call the phone number that's going across the bottom, 352-320-5110. And I don't know if any of you ladies raise your hand if you want to add anything to that. Otherwise, I will just put up our, where is it? Our affirmation for everyone to see. No, I won't do that because I have to take you all out first. So, hang on a second. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see. How do I do this? I want to take yourselves off mute and just say goodbye. How's that?
Bye. Love to everyone.
Thank you, Corinne. Norma. All right. Here we are. Oh, that was so fun. I really enjoyed that. I hope you all did too. And I do hope that you will join us on Zoom after this. And let me put up our affirmation so you can see that. That's not the affirmation. This is the affirmation. It is the nature of life to give of itself, as it is the tree's nature to bloom and the flowers, as it is the tree's nature to bear fruit and the flower's nature to bloom, it is my nature to share the gifts of my time, talent, and treasure. And it's your nature too, right? I participate in the divine flow of life, giving generously and receiving abundantly. I am blessed and I am a blessing. I am so very grateful. And our prayer for protection. We will close out with that. I invite you to join us next week. I invite you to do the spiritual practice. Consider buying See No Stranger. There is a wealth of information and resources. There'll be podcasts and articles and organizations and things that can help you on this path of revolutionary love, of learning to love others and our opponents and ourselves. And so as we close out, we do this prayer for protection. It is this, and it comes from James Dillett Freeman and our sister organization at Unity. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And I thank you for joining us, and I hope to see some of you at least on Zoom, and I will see you next week. Have a fabulous, fabulous week. Love you.